How to rise above the noise. Are we ready for that one? I'm here today. I'm Kenley Early from Scripps Networks Interactive. I'm a director of consumer marketing with the company. I'll tell you a little more about myself here in a few moments, but what I'm going to talk about today is, like we said, how to rise above the noise. And go ahead. Oh, this is my trusty assistant, Caitlin, over here. She is my right hand. Could not do my job without her. So Caitlin is amazing. She's going to drive this train for me today because I'm not the best at doing both. But what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is how to rise above the noise at the HGTV Lodge at CMA Music Fest. And basically this is a little bit of a case study. We've been doing this project for about 6 years, and I'm going to talk to you all about where we started and where we have ended up and what we have learned along the way. And it's been some interesting things, so hopefully you guys will learn a few things as I'm talking. Again, I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. I've been with Scripps for a little over 14 years. I am a native of Knoxville, which is not the norm in our company. There's a lot of transplants. I grew up in West Knoxville, went to Farragut High School, and I graduated from UT with a communications degree. I see you must have too. Good. So that's a little bit about me, and let's just move on. Okay. I'm going to start, I'm going to start with a video because I want to show you guys kind of just a recap of, and this is our 2016 video because our 17 one is not ready yet. I just want to show you all, give you all a little feel of what we do at CMA Music Fest, and then we're going to go back to 2012 and talk about where we started. So there we go. Welcome to the HGTV Lodge. Who doesn't love HGTV and country music? This combination is perfect for fans.
A great way for fans to experience HGTV in Nashville.
Our fans absolutely love the fact that they can be here in the HGTV Lodge, so close to us, asking us questions, interacting, getting photos with people they see on TV are right next to. People that are performing on the big main stage are also performing here, but this is unlike any other experience. How much fun it is in the Lodge, like unlike any other venue out there. You can see it in the faces of all the fans that listen to the music here.
So, as you can see, there's a lot happening. I'm going to tell you all a lot more about it, but let's go back to 2012. In 2012, we as a company decided that experiential marketing was something we wanted to start getting into, and we knew it was a growing priority. We also knew that not a lot of companies were headed down that path just yet, so we were going to jump on that bandwagon and really start to create some very special things, which is what we have tried to do over the past 6 years. We were also interested in CMA Music Fest. The country music audience index is really high with our viewers, so we thought that that would make a lot of sense for us and would be a really good first step. Funny side note about when we were pulling this presentation together, I looked at this little picture of this holiday house of sorts, and I was like, I don't even remember that. I don't even know what that is. But that was actually a holiday stunt that we did, I think it was in 2011, where we had about 50 Santa Clauses in Times Square representing all of the 50 states. So anyway, but that's just a little funny side note because it took me a few minutes to remember that one at all. But anyway, regardless, moving on. Again, like I said, country music fans are very important to us. We also know that they're very brand loyal. And if you look at that, 65% of them are 18 to 49. That's a sweet spot for us. We all know that millennials value experiences over things. So that was something that was really important to us. And we also, we're primarily targeting millennials with experiential, but we also don't want to alienate the Gen Xer. So that's a really important audience to us as well when it comes to these experiences that we do. Moving on, please, ma'am. So where did we start? We were really talking about what do we do, how do we go into Nashville and make an impact, at CMA Music Fest. We're talking about upward of 150,000 people in downtown Nashville, at any given time during the 4 days of the festival. It's June. I'm going to be frank, it's hotter than hell. It can be very miserable from a heat standpoint. So we were like, what are we going to do? And we kind of kept talking about HGTV Goes Country, which sounds a little strange, I know, but you'll see how it all worked out once I get there. And then we talked about, how do we also do this? Do we want to talk about promoting our sister networks? Do we want to talk about tune in for some of our programming? Really, and how do we just create an impact? So as we moved into year one, this is really just a picture of the very first lodge that we had in 2012. And then, so basically, as I said, as we moved into year one, we had never been there before. We kind of had an idea of what we were going to do. We really focused on bringing in some of our sister networks like DIY, some different experiences on this building, which I'll point out to you in a moment. We had, I think, in year one, we had 2 artist performances. We had some of our talent that were, signing autographs and things like that. It was also the way that you gained access to the lodge was through Eventbrite. And we, again, did not do the best job at marketing that at that point in time. We didn't know a lot about what we were doing in year one. So it was very limited as well as getting inside the lodge. So, yeah, please. This is the initial concept rendering that we got from our agency. We work with an agency out of New York, Pop to Life. They're an extension of our team, just me and Caitlin at the company. So if we didn't have them, we couldn't do any of this. But so that was the initial rendering, and then this is basically when they built the lodge, this is what it looked like when it came to life. So as you can see, it was very similar to the rendering. And if you move on, when I was talking about how we were had a lot of different things happening, if you see, we've got this vanilla ice my cup, which was a snow cone area. We had a charging station called the Hookup. The red carpet was a photo op, and then Design Star at that time was a huge priority for us. And this was a little glass room, and we had past Design Star winners come in and design the room, and people could watch that in real time. So, all of that being said, I want you all to pay really close attention to this slide too. So this was the inside of the lodge. You'll notice that the stage is back here. We've got a loft area here. Notice the signage, because again, you'll see how far we've come in a few minutes. Again, year one was a challenge. We did not love our location. We were tucked away. We were actually across from some stunt dogs, which were awesome and great to watch. But it was kind of like, here we are, this network, and we're tucked in this corner, and we didn't love where we were. Also, again, like I said, it was very limited access. Like, you just couldn't walk up. That's just not how it worked at the time. Really limited integration for HGTV, and then not a lot of performances. So what did we do? We came back and we were like, you know what? We're not going to give up. We're going to try this again. And we do that. I mean, we have had, year one events and year one activations that have not gone as planned. And that we've learned from, and we continue, we at least do a year 2, because we want to just learn from it and make sure that, if we feel like something has legs, we want to continue it. So we came back to the office, we brainstormed a lot, we did a lot of thinking, we talked with our agency, and we were like, you know what? Bottom line, people go to CMA Music Fest for the music. That's why they're there. They don't really care about seeing our reels on screens. I mean, they're interested in that. They're also interested in experiencing the brand, but at the end of the day, they're there for the music. So we talked to the CMA, we moved to a higher, a more high profile location. We also worked with the CMA. What they do when you buy a ticket to the festival, you're entered into a ticket lottery system, and all of the stages, the free stages that are in downtown, that's how you gain access to those. So we worked with them to really provide more fans access to our lodge, depending on who was performing, and we increased the number of artist performances. Again, that was something, like we said, that's what they want, so let's give the people what they want. We brought in some of our talent to co-host, and then we also added VIP hospitality for our clients. So, let's see, I had a thought, and it escaped me. It'll come back. Oh.
So there's 24 performances at the lodge last year. We had 24 versus, Kenley mentioned there was 2 in 2012. So just piggybacking on how much music was a priority, we really upped that as years go on.
Exactly. So again, in 2013, we had a new location. Can't really see the new location, but it was more on the street. So as people were walking by, which was also something that was really important to us, because The lodge it's a small venue. It holds about 350 people. So we know, when you're talking about 150,000 fans, not everyone is going to gain access to the lodge. So, but if you're on the street, as people are walking by, we know from an impression standpoint that at least people will see us and be like, maybe be curious, try to figure out what it is, and just really, kind of check things out as they're walking by. 14, you can see we were obviously there again. In 2015, we made some crazy decisions and we built a brand new lodge. One of the main reasons we did this is because we knew that we were going to continue this activation for a number of years. This one was getting a little old. I know that sounds crazy, but we also took the 2015 lodge prior to Music Fest. We took that to the Super Bowl in a partnership with DirecTV. So that's a whole nother story for a different day, but maybe we can talk about that some other time. So again, the lodge is a small venue. It holds about 350 people. We have artists tell us all the time that, some of the A-list artists that we've had perform, which I'm getting ahead of myself, but they tell us a lot that it feels like back in the day when they were starting out and performing in honky-tonks. And for the people who are there, if you've got Keith Urban on a stage and you're right, you can literally, he's right there. It's a really special place. So, oh, yeah. This is the time-lapse video. Just gives you all an idea of the build and then the teardown. We start moving in about 7 days prior to the start of the festival. The festival is the second week of June from Thursday through Sunday. The lodge itself is 3,500 square feet, and it takes 4 days to build it, 3 shifts running 24 hours a day. And then it takes about 3 days to tear everything down. Now, another funny story that I'll share with you all, I guess it was 2 years ago, we learned, and these are just, you guys who do events, you learn something new every year, but 2 years ago we had an issue with major potholes in the parking lot, and that did not go so well when you have to pay for paving and things of that nature. But so we learned that we have a protective flooring that we now put down before we start to build it, because it is heavy. It's wood, it's 3,500 square feet. How much does it weigh? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember how much it weighs, but she's a heavy girl, let's put her in. And I refer to her as a girl because I always say that she's just so damn pretty. It's just a beautiful structure. So I always say that. I'm like, this is the prettiest girl at the party every time she goes up. So anyway, so moving forward to 17, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the design and just kind of how we interact with the artists and how the fans interact with the artists. I think one thing you'll notice, if you took away the stage right here, what does that look like to you guys? What? Doesn't it kind of look like a living room though? A little bit? With the lighting and just, a very rustic living room kind of a thing. So really, that's big for us. I think, I didn't call this out, but you'll see on another image of the lodge, we have a thing on the front that says, "Welcome home, country music fans." And for us, this is a home. HGTV, that's why you watch the network. It's all about home. And so we wanted the design to feel very homey. You'll also notice we learned a lot. You can just see this one image up here. It's not quite as unsightly as that first Design Star image that you saw from 2012. But we have images of our talent all throughout the space, really almost like you would have images of your family, like in your home. So that's our whole goal. It's to create a really warm and comfortable, cozy feeling place where you can experience music. So again, like I said, small venue, 350 people total. This is Charles Kelly on the stage. We've had Keith Urban the past couple of years. We've had Old Dominion the past couple of years. We hear from the artists and the fans. The artists are like, it's basically like we're going back to our honky-tonk days. And Keith Urban actually said, I don't know how the acoustics are so good in this place, but it is like when I was playing back in my early career. And then you have the fans. I tell this story, it's corny, but I'm going to tell you all anyway. It's a lot of work. We start planning for this in January, and probably April, it starts to get insane. Because like I said, yeah, it does. It takes over your life. And you guys, anybody who plans events knows how hectic they could be, especially in the weeks leading up. But all the stress and strain, all the pivots that you may have to do because something comes at you and you didn't anticipate it, the first day that you see the look on those people's face that are standing in the lodge, or someone thanks you for what you're doing, it just makes it all worthwhile. And again, it's corny, but I like to tell that story. Again, here we are, just with the artists and the fans. I mean, they're so close to one another. So, what?
Meet and greet.
Yeah. And then, we have meet and greets, and I'll get into that a little bit more, but we do meet and greets. The Property Brothers have been there the last 4 years. Interestingly enough, some of their meet and greets have been have had a higher attendance than some of our artists, which is mind-boggling at times, but people love these guys, and they are fantastic. And in this area, I know I asked you guys to kind of take a look at that loft earlier in the original lodge. We made the decision when we built the new one that we were going to have the actual loft area goes along the side and kind of down it's basically along the sides, because we wanted to be able to entertain more clients. So this loft area holds about 90 people. And we use that for our ad sales and our content distribution clients. So they're able to entertain while we're there in Nashville for those 4 days. Again, just a little bit about 17. As Caitlin said, we had 24 artists perform over those 4 days. It was about average of 5 to 6 per day. Yeah, 6 per day. Yeah.
6,000.
And
We activate for 4 days, and the lodge sees about 6,000 people per activation. So if you're able to come into the lodge, like for a Keith Urban performance, you won't be able to come back from there. And it's a one thing, so that we can give people as much experiences as we can provide. So about 6,000.
And the exciting thing about those 24 artists this year, all 24 of them did meet and greets. Now, it's a little bit of an in-the-weeds story of how you get a meet and greet opportunity, but we usually have about 75 to 100 people in those meet and greet lines. We also worked with some local Nashville restaurants to kind of make the VIP loft a little more exciting and have some Nashville-specific food up there. We had this awesome photo op. This was Caitlin's idea. I have to give her all the credit. This is a mural that we actually worked with an artist to paint. I mean, you guys have seen a lot of those Nashville signs that people are posting on social media. So we wanted something very similar, very, Nashville feeling. We worked with a company called Fish, which is actually the CMA uses to do check-ins, like posting on social and actually for people to be able to find a lot of their images and things, their artist meet and greet images. That was something new this year. And we found that it went really well. We were really pleased with the Fish technology. And then we had this social wall. So we have a big wall outside the lodge, and it's pulling in, anything that's hashtagged HGTV Lodge. It's pulling in, Instagram feeds, Facebook feeds, anything, so that people, and a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, there's my post, so they're seeing in real time what people are posting. And yes, we do have someone monitor that just to make sure nothing inappropriate goes up there. You just never know. Facebook, this was a big one this year. We set a goal for ourselves that in regard to Facebook Live, we wanted to have 1 Facebook Live per day. And we wanted to try to do at least an interview and possibly stream a song from one of the artist performances. We ended up doing 6 total. So again, that was really exciting because it was something that we definitely wanted to do, and we were able to make it happen. I know it sounds silly that we've got branding on popcorn boxes, but just those little touches that when you're in the space, it's HGTV. Like, that's where you are. It's HGTV that's, giving you this experience and hopefully showing you a very good time. Branded fans, like I said, it's hotter than hell. I mean, you guys know how hot it is here in June. So it's very hot. There's a lot of concrete downtown. So we made the decision a couple of years ago to do these branded fans that have tune in on one side and then all of our social media handles on the other. And we pass those out to everyone. We do branded assets for artists so that they can put those, push those out on their social media in the days leading up to the festival. Snapchat geo filter. And then artist posts. We, I think a lot of you, if you're familiar with our networks, Tricia Yearwood has a show on Food Network, and she and Garth made an appearance at the Lodge this year. They did not perform, but they did make an appearance. So we were really, really excited when Garth Brooks walked through the door. Another goal that we set for ourselves this year is, again, it's a 6-year-old activation. We continue to try to up our game all the time, and we were like, how do we extend this experience beyond the 4 walls of this space? So what are we going to do here? And we started talking about it, and we were like, let's find a way to utilize the social channels for our sister networks. So one of the things that we did, like I said a few moments ago, is we worked with some local Nashville, iconic restaurants that have actually had shows on Food Network, and really had them come in and bring food each day so that we could utilize food's social channels and post, about Hattie B's hot chicken, and, that Goo clusters are made in Tennessee, and, Peg Leg Porker, which is a barbecue place. All of these, like I said, all of these restaurants have had shows on food. And we did some things with Travel Channel as well, really kind of walking up and down Broadway, showing all of the honky tonks that are there, all the fun things there are to do in Nashville, because we really wanted to try to just extend the experience, not just, reaching those 6,000 people that actually come through the Lodge, or the upward of 150,000 that are in Nashville. Social results this year, we had about 81 million impressions, 35,000 new followers. Now I will add that this is not solely attributed to Music Fest. We also have social media buys that are happening during this time frame, so I can't take credit for all of that, but I can take credit for a little bit of it. And we had 39 posts, and we really, across all of our platforms, all Scripps platforms, and we really we utilize Insta Stories a lot this time around, because the other concern that we had, and Abby, who you all heard speak earlier this morning, we talked a lot about this. We didn't want to alienate people, like we didn't want to aggravate them if we were all the HGTV social channels were having, CMA Music Fest posts all day for 4 days. So, and then we kind of made the decision, well, do we really care? Like, I mean, do we really just want to, just kind of walk down this path and see how things go? But with Insta Stories, they're quick. They last 24 hours or 48? 24 hours. So our hope was that, people weren't, and in an Insta Story, we all know you have to click on those, you have to hit the button to really watch them. So hopefully we didn't aggravate people by having a bunch of CMA Music stuff in the HGTV feed for all 4 days. So this will just give you an idea of who we've had perform. Like I said, we've had Keith Urban the past couple of years, Old Dominion, who is one of my favorite groups. I don't know if you all love them too. So as you can see, as we've gained some momentum and some traction, we've really been able to attract a lot of A-list artists. A lot of these artists perform on the big stage at Nissan Stadium in the evenings, so the evening concerts. So again, if you're watching a concert from an NFL stadium where you've got 80,000 people and you get to see those same people in a 350-person venue, it's a pretty special experience. Just some photos. Go back for 1 second, it's okay. Eric Pasley over here has been with us all 6 years to some degree. So we gave him, this is a weather vane that's actually on top of the Lodge that we've had for the last few years. So we had one recreated and kind of gave him like a little special thank you. I won't lie to you and say that I didn't have some underlying meaning with that. I hope he continues to come back. So yeah, is that our last? Yeah. So that is, again, how to rise above the noise, just kind of figuring out. And what I will say is, I mean, experiences like this really run the gamut, everything from, smaller things to larger things. Just if you test the waters and you try something out and it doesn't work, don't give up on it. I mean, unless your boss tells you have to, and that's a whole nother story. But a year one of anything is hard, and we've learned that with a lot of different projects. We did a project a few years ago, 2 years of a project at Atlantis in the Bahamas, and I know you are like, why would HGTV do that? But about 97% of visitors to Atlantis are from the United States. And we did a first year, and it was okay. And then we were like, let's try it again. And so again, it was a little bit better, but still not something we wanted to focus our budget on. But I think if you get through a year one, just figure that out and don't give up if it's not what you thought. Just really try to, figure out, give the people what they want. I know it sounds corny, but that's really kind of the bottom line. So, questions? Yes, ma'am.
Was that 35,000 new followers across all brands?
Yes.
And it was just during the days of the
During those 4 days, yes. Yeah, but like I said, it's not just attributed to the lodge. I mean, it has to do when we have media buys happening at that time as well. So.
Which posts during the event did you see perform the best?
Abby, you want to speak to that? Do you remember? Sorry to put you on the spot.
When we're talking to the HGTV audience on Instagram, we're basically talking to ourselves. So you can put like a photo of Mary Morris on HGTV, like the HGTV Insta, but it's not really going to resonate as much as if you put the Property Brothers at the lodge on our Insta, because we're talking to our fan base, right? So it was so interesting because you would think that like Keith would draw way more engagement and more participation, like in the comments or in the likes or whatever it is, but it actually was the Property Brothers or the Masters of Flip or whomever it was. So I think it's always super important when you're talking about social that you realize the audience that you're talking to, because it might be super awesome when Keith is on the stage, but they really want to see like Chip and Joe's face, you know? So.
And we also, and was it this year or last year that the Property Brothers Facebook Live had more engagement than some of it was this year, yeah. We had more, like Caitlin was saying, we're talking to people who are already interested in us. So the Property Brothers did have more viewership.
Like 16,000 more views
than Keith Urban. Yeah. It's interesting. So again, as we talked about, what did we learn from this year? Well, next year we're going to ask the artists to push these Facebook Lives out on their platforms. So again, as we continue to do this, just because we felt like 17 was successful, we're still trying to up our game each year, and we'll continue to do that. So
Trisha and Garth, they had a little presentation at the lodge, and she was one of the only artists that. So I think we put out a collage, and then Trisha reshared it on, I think it was her Facebook, and the engagement for that post went up significantly because Trisha is then talking to Trisha's fans, and then we get to piggyback off of that, right? So if Trisha has 15 million followers on Facebook or 15 million on Instagram, whatever it might be, we just got access to all that 15 million because that's probably not going to be a lot of crossover with what HG has, especially because Trisha's a Food Network talent, not an HGTV talent. So we really look for those ways to extend and amplify outside of the lodge. It was a really important thing for us. So yeah.
What else? Yes, sir.
So I'm guessing that's not cheap to do.
No.
What do you guys, how do you look at, like what metrics do you look at internally to justify and like understand that you're actually getting a return on something that's that cost or expensive?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. It's interesting because, again, we have a product. Well, we don't even really have a product. I mean, I like to say you can't really touch and feel your television. I mean, as you're viewing, you can't really touch and feel a show. I mean, you can feel it, but, you can't really, it's not like something that you can touch and feel and experience. So that's really where the experiential marketing piece came into play. We look at some different factors. We don't necessarily, we can't use Nielsen to track things like this like we do our programming. But we do look at, social engagement. We look at press engagement. We look at people we're able to reach within the space. And I'm very fortunate because we have bosses that believe in this kind of a thing and see the value in it. But it really is social and social impressions and press impressions, and just people being there. And in some of the stories that you hear, I know that sounds a little weird because it is a large investment. It's not cheap. It's about we spend on experiential about 10% of our overall budget for all of marketing. But that's really where it stems from. And like I said, we have people who believe in it and think that it works, and we think that it works. I mean, again, that the millennial research says you guys don't want to buy things, you want to experience things, and so we feel like to bring in that next sort of set of viewers, this is what we need to be doing.
We also use it as a platform to introduce talent to the audiences, right? So there's a lot of talent on HGTV that aren't as popular as Chip and Joanna, and not as recognizable as the Frosty Brothers. So we use this platform as a space where we can really introduce all of these people to new faces, so that when they're flipping through, or maybe they see a spot on another channel, they might say, oh my gosh, that was the Wilsons, I remember seeing them. And then the second thing that we didn't mention in this was that this past year we were able to integrate The Lodge, a video clip of The Lodge with Dan and Shay. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but they're country music artists. And so one of our colleagues in Kenley negotiated The Lodge into the ABC special, which aired in primetime, and that got 5.74 million viewers. I mean, that's huge.
That's huge for us. And again, what happens, what ABC does is they shoot a special, it's called Country's Night to Rock. So they shoot it all 4 days of the festival. Just different things are happening. And it, like Caitlin said, it airs in August. So the fact that we were able to do that, in the past we've had the Property Brothers in the show for 2 years. And then we were like, you know what, let's try to get The Lodge in there, because that's our Music Fest activation. And it was really cool. They did an overhead night shot that they shot from a helicopter and started out, and then, as Caitlin said, Dan and Shay performed. And with the logo, you saw the logo on those doors kind of at the back of the stage. All of that was, on a broadcast network, and that's huge for us. So, anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I really like the social wall idea. Do
Mm-hmm.
you find that helped as far as posts? Because I'm sure, a lot of people want to see their posts up there.
Yeah.
Just getting people to talk about the lodge and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You have anything you want to add to that?
So, yeah, that's
Caitlin's my social media person. I lean on her for this one.
So we have a hashtag. It's hashtag HGTV Lodge that we push every activation. And so you take your photo. You could take it in that mural that was right below it. And then, like Kenley says, we have this website. I think it's called Tint. And so all of the posts filter through that, and we make sure that there's nothing inappropriate going up. But so when you're lining up for the lodge, you have to come in. So there's two lines. There's the line in which you've already been selected and you're 100% getting in, and then there's a hopefuls line. So what we want to do is captivate that audience and try to get them engaging with us socially. So when they're standing there, they're going to take a photo, either of the lodge or themselves. They're going to take it in front of that wall, and then they're going to put it up on that display. That display also runs promo reels for us, so anyone that's walking by during those couple of days are going to see spots as well. So we don't use it just for social, but we also integrate that concept into our other activations throughout the year as well. So.
And we have that social wall running inside the space. We've got screens inside the lodge, so we have that running as well, along with, as Caitlin said, we have a promo reel with tune-in spots that's running also. Yes?
So in the first year, you showed that you had 4 or 5 things across the side, and now you have this big yard space. Do you all do any supplemental stuff, or do you just have your inside stage?
Oh, what you mean? What do you?
Just the lodge.
It's just the lodge.
Just the music performances
Yeah.
in the lodge. So we just try to focus the strategy on that versus breaking it up. So I think that one was Vanilla Ice was on DIY, so that's a different network than HG, and then there was the HGTV Design Star.
Yeah.
I don't think there was travel component. for
No.
that, but
Well, we did give out ice cream sandwiches that
for
had
sure.
Travel Channel wrappers on them. Again, like we were saying, in year one, we were all over the place. Did we answer you? I don't.
Now, are you using that huge yard space you have for any supplemental things?
No.
for lines is what we
Yeah.
That's where all the art stuff that people like.
What?
Isn't there the photo app, like the photo wall?
Oh yeah, we do have a photo op out there. Yeah, but we're not using it for like some of the things like the vanilla ice snow cone and things like that. We don't do any of that anymore. We do have, as Abby said, there's a photo op out front. We have a very different queue line just because we want to make sure it's orderly and keep people off the street. But our main focus is the music and the artists and having our talent there to host every day.
You mentioned that you took the lodge to the Super Bowl. Do you all have plans to take it other places to do the same type of experience?
That's my dream. But I mean, I actually, and we talk about this all the time, I would love to activate this on a quarterly basis. It's just not possible. It's just, unfortunately, I mean, a girl can dream, and I always do. I tell this story a lot, as I'll just add it in, but this is not only my most favorite project that we do all year long, it's also the project that I'm proudest of. I tend to get a little teary-eyed when we walk up for the first time. I know it sounds crazy, but I do wish we could activate it a lot more, but unfortunately we can't. So yeah. Anything else? No? All right. Well, I think you all got a few minutes back before the next session, so thank you. Thank you very much for having us.